Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask EVGA, number something.
15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
I keep good track of things. So today, I am actually filming something pretty special. I've been filming a little build, a custom PC build that we're doing. So I'm not going to show the whole build yet. You'll just have to wait for that video to come. But this is one piece from it, and if you recognize the symbol, you'll know what we're talking about. So that's been a lot of fun and a pretty big challenge, actually. I don't know if you've ever worked with like a custom modded build.
Not as modded as this one. This one's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because all the screw points and everything is like hand done. So I'm used to working with like a fab system, that's been massively manufactured, and it's been interesting to say the least.
Tested to verify that it works. This one.
I've had to redo some of the drill points and stuff like that. So it's been cool though. It's going to be an awesome build, and that video will have some awesome music as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool.
There you
go. We've got a number of questions today, so we're gonna head right into this. First question is going to be from Drink Fanta 1.
Okay.
Don't you wanna?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Drink Fanta says, my question for 15. Yes. When the fans of my 2080 XC spin up, they make a weird clicking noise. Is this issue with newer cards already resolved?
Yeah, we've actually answered this one once before, but if that issue keeps coming up or people keep mentioning it, then we have to keep telling them the correct information on that, which is it actually should already be corrected, but at any rate, if you're having that issue with your particular card, please feel free, reach out to our customer support team. We'll be sure to get that replaced and fixed for you. So it's just a minor issue with the wire.
Yeah, we spoke about that, I think, on episode 13.
Yeah, I believe so.
All
right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. This is Super Dan again. We answered a question from him last week. His question for 15: When do you think stocks will be steady on the RTX 2080 Ti? I understand it's a new GPU, but every time I go to the EVGA website, they are sold out. So I figured I would ask when you guys will get a large stock that stays available for more than 24 hours.
We do typically get pretty large stock in, but the problem is they've been selling out pretty quickly.
Sure.
And we can only handle shipping out so many per day. So that is going to be one of the limitations and stuff. So it might go back in stock the next day. It's a lot of times that's not because we got a new delivery. It's just because we could only, put so much pressure on the warehouse to send out X amount. And plus they're sending to channel partners and things like that as well. But usually with a new graphics card, it does take a couple months before they're actually consistently in stock.
Yeah.
And 2080 Ti, just like any new graphics card, is like an overwhelmingly popular and has a lot of people buying it. Especially in the 20 series, the top end one, the TIs have been particularly popular this time around.
Which makes sense, because its performance is not comparable to anything. So that's the one that if you're an early adopter, a lot of early adopters want to go for the latest and greatest, and I don't blame them. So that makes it that there's a huge demand for a card like that, but the supply is fairly limited, and there's always factors that we can't control as far as availability of parts and whatnot that can affect that.
Yeah, and we did. I gotta say, we did a little bit of testing with the new Battlefield 5 RTX today that came out, and it's pretty awesome. Particularly like reflections off cars and things like that.
Sure.
The metallic reflection is really cool. And then puddles and water and stuff like that.
So we'll do a gameplay video of that soon.
Yeah, the gameplay video will be coming out this week. We're hoping maybe today, but we're totally busy today, so we'll see. Okay, so next question, Derek Fagan. Now this is a pretty lengthy question. I'm probably going to paraphrase a little bit on this, but he says, could you please answer my question regarding aesthetic presentation of your video cards? I keep asking if EVGA is such a premium brand, then why are most, or if not all, of the top-end graphics cards just huge heat sinks and heat pipes with gigantic plastic shrouds and 2 to 3 fans? Basically, he goes on to say he really likes the Founders Edition RTX cards. even though they lack a little bit in cooling.
Sure.
And let's see. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I've stated EVGA seems to be catching on the interchangeable accents and those cages, but the design is still quite a ways off from the FE or reference. Is form so far below function with your R&D people, or do you all just not care?
Well, we certainly care. And I would say that there are definitely form flourishes. RGB, as an example, has no performance benefit at all.
Yeah.
Even in interchangeable shroud or in trim, that's not meant for performance of the graphics cards in any way. But ultimately, performance is the important thing. You buy a graphics card on the basis of how well that card is able to cool the chip, because quite frankly, if you're in a game and you're immersed in a world, it doesn't matter what the graphics card looks like. And yes, every generation we'll try to improve the look, we'll change the look up, we'll do more stuff to it, but ultimately our goal is to get one of the best cooling cards on the market and one of the easiest to pull apart. You keep referring back to the Founders Edition reference cards. If you ever try to take apart one of those just to replace the thermal paste, it can be a bear. And that part of that, honestly, in my opinion, is bad design if you're making something that's that difficult to get into. On our cooler, 4 screws, cooler comes off, you can get paste to it, you can do it within 5 minutes realistically. So there are aspects of that I'm, as a designer, we wouldn't want to, give up on. But I do get your point. I mean, I think that Founders Edition cards, there is a certain feel and a way that it's done that NVIDIA does that is really impressive. The kind of the mixing of materials and the way it all comes together is really nice and really premium. But ultimately, in my own personal opinion, I look for cooling and ease of use over anything else. And the form stuff is there, but my concern is the function first and foremost. And again, every generation will change. We change stuff on the basis of what feedback we get from customers. So if we brought out a card and every customer just said, this is terrible looking, nobody likes it, then we would change it in a future generation. That's how we operate. So we're really proud of the performance that we're getting on these RTX cards. They are some of the best, and I've been continually impressed by the quality of the build, the base plates, the back plates, the lack of flex in the card despite the length and the weight, and its ability to cool the card without having very much noise. So, aesthetic things, that's always up to one's particular taste, but the performance is really there on these cards. And as I said last week, because of how comprehensively these cards cool every component, I expect these to be very long-lasting graphics cards.
Yeah, and one thing that's kind of important to note is it sort of speeds up the RMA process, the warranty process. Sure. It's why we're able to keep a really quick turnaround time, because even we added those stickers, so we know if it's been opened or tampered with, so we know how far we have to go as far as testing is concerned. But that's going to be a factor, and this is more my personal thing, but I pull apart a lot of cards and I do a lot of testing or changing over to water blocks on them and stuff like that. So it definitely helps me a lot.
Yeah.
I took apart the Founders Edition card when that first arrived here for our testing, and man, that was quite a project, and it was given to me at the end of the day, so I actually was here a little bit late doing that. And then it also comes down to aesthetics are an opinion. It's subjective.
Right.
So that's another thing to mention as well. Some people on the Founders Edition on the last generation that sort of
the more geometric
looking shroud. Some people really like that. I really liked that look.
I think that was a good look.
And a lot of people really liked our 1080 Ti, the shroud, the way that looked. I don't particularly like the look of the Founders Edition this time around. And I know a lot of people here do.
Interesting.
I don't. I think it looks kind of old school to me.
I'm kind of in the middle about the new one. I actually think that the old blower was a better looking card than the dual fan card is, because I think that the need to get more air into it, and that's part of it too. You'll notice that in a blower card it was very closed off, so it actually creates more of a kind of a unified object, like holding a phone is an object. It's an enclosed item that can have beauty just because you can sort of grasp it in your mind. And that's kind of what a blower style card has going for it. And making it a metal and, materials, all of that helps. With the current Founders Edition, because they went to a more open air cooling design like what we use on aftermarket cards, that forces them to open up grills on the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
They have to change the design, quite a bit. I've heard some people say they love how it looks. Other people think it's kind of plain looking. So I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's pretty good, but ours, I will say, see them in the flesh.
Yeah.
Because we do, as good a photography as we can of these things, but for whatever reason, every time I see one in person, I think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider as well.
It's hard to kind of pick up the transparency when you're using photographic lighting and things like that. You're not going to get the full effect.
Right.
But we obviously care about aesthetics. I mean, we went with the transparent or semi-transparent shroud this time. That's an aesthetic thing, and we have the inserts as well.
Right.
So.
Right, and we have an easy to remove shroud, and we have inserts, so there's more ability for us to play with that. So you never know. We could change it up totally. No plans at this point, but there's always the option there. So that flexibility, whereas on a Founders Edition, to actually, like, if they wanted to restyle that shroud, that would be a nightmare to redesign that whole thing.
And before we move on real quick, there is a little sneak hint I'll give is there is going to be another shroud coming.
Okay.
It's not going to be completely different, but there are going to be some differences to a shroud that's coming out, and I think a lot of people are going to like that. Right. Can't say any more.
So you heard it here first.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So let's go on to the next one here. This one is from Jeffrey Solorio. My question to you guys is, when is the 2080 Ti hydrocopper water block coming out, and if it will be compatible with the reference card? I think we answered a question similar to this before.
Right. We are going to have one that is compatible with the reference card. As far as when it's coming out exactly, I don't think we have a date yet. We have the water blocks for some of the 20 series, but I don't think it's the TIs yet.
Okay.
Is it?
We'll have to check in post, but I think even the TI ones may already be up on the website.
Yeah. I think there's some more coming in. There are some, a bunch of water blocks headed to us right now, actually, as we speak. I just got notification of that today. I don't know when those will be arriving specifically. Even if I did, I probably couldn't talk about it.
Sure.
But
sure.
But yeah, those are definitely coming. And will they be compatible? I thought he said, are they comparable? I'm like, they're going to be a lot better than the reference as far as cooling. But yeah, those are coming soon.
Okay. Yeah, so there will be a compatible block. We just don't know when.
Easy question.
Yep.
Okay, so this one's from Dean Girior.
Yeah, it's not really even a question. I put this one in because this was on the Monster Hunter World, and I want you to read it a little angrily because I feel like there's a little anger in this comment.
They have limited quantities. Watch, you will see.
Yeah, we do in fact have limited quantities of the Monster Hunter World codes. We always do. This is an NVIDIA promotion. So NVIDIA allocates a certain number of codes that we can give out to customers who purchased on EVGA.com. So that's partly why we want to make a video like that, is because I think people feel that maybe this is an EVGA direct promotion and we're giving the codes out no matter what. We have very kind of precise guidelines that we follow as far as giving it to customers who purchase directly from our store, because it's actually a retailer promotion. So NVIDIA provides these codes to places of purchase to then provide them to customers. And in our case, EVGA.com is a place of purchase. And so that's why we take part in the promotion. We give out codes for the promotion. But yeah, there are limited. I can't say how many codes we have, but I will say it's not thousands upon thousands of codes. They are limited.
Do you know if the other board partners have online stores? I haven't been on their websites in a while.
That's a good question. I know that other board partners are taking part in this promotion because I've seen, like, if you search "The Hunt Begins," which is the name of the NVIDIA promotion, you will see other board partners listing their own pages with the promotional information. Whether or not that applies to purchasing on their website, or if they just give you, hey, you can go to this retailer, this retailer, this retailer to get it, I don't know.
Yeah, I know that quantities play a factor in how many codes are given as well. So we actually, since we're the number one NVIDIA board partner, we tend to have a large amount of codes that we get. They are limited quantity. Even if we had our own promotion going, it's not like we have infinite codes. It's going to be a game developer that's providing codes, and it might be several thousand, it might be a few hundred. And so those are always subject to limited quantities.
Exactly. So if you want to take part in it, we always recommend do it as soon as you can, because it does happen every once in a while. We'll have a promotion where we do run out of codes before the end of that promotion.
Yes.
And in some cases, maybe we can request more. In other cases, the promotion's over. Jump on that. But to answer your question, yes, we do have limited quantities. You don't have to watch and see. We'll tell you right now, there are limited quantities.
But you will see.
Okay. Perfect. This next question is from Travis Liu. I believe we had a question from him last week as well. Ask EVGA 15. When will the Z370 Classified K support the Core i5 9600K?
That's an interesting question. I don't know.
Okay. Actually, I think it already does.
I have no information. Yeah, I mean,
I'm 99% sure that it already does.
They're both 1151 socket type.
Okay.
I haven't seen any BIOS updates for it, though.
No, but we had one back in May. I want to say it was 1.08. And we rather cryptically called it support for upcoming or future processors. So it was like a bizarre update for that. So we know that, because we tested it, that the 9900K works fine on a classified K if it's running 1.08 BIOS version. And so while I don't know that we've tested the 9600K, I see absolutely no reason why that would not work. So if you are running into an issue, you have one of these boards, you put it in, you're just getting a post code like 18, indicating that it can't get through post, reach out to our support, because we have a method of bringing that board in, updating it, and then getting it back to you.
Yes, and looks like that should have been a question for you, huh?
That's okay.
Okay. Last one. This is the last one?
No, second to last one.
Okay, I'm reading the wrong one. What about buying... Oh, this is from...
Someone.
Soul-C1. Okay. Good for you. I like the names. What about buying from official eBay store in another country like Colombia? Does it still count?
Okay, this was one... I want to say this was from Monster Hunter as well, that this question came from.
I see.
And basically, if you buy from the from our official eBay store, it should be fine.
Yes, I did confirm this.
That part of it I did. The Colombia part I'm not 100% sure about, but the only reason why I say that is because usually when NVIDIA does a promotion like this and you redeem the code, in some cases they will check your IP to know what country you're in.
They do.
I don't know if
this one does.
It does, okay.
Yeah. It's region specific, so...
Yeah, so that one's actually an interesting question. We're not 100% sure on that one. So reach out to our support, because we may need to get support to answer that one fully.
Yeah, call support and ask for a supervisor named Ray.
And then I'll have to research it further and find you an answer.
And all of you feel free to call and ask for Ray.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So yes, we can give you the code, but whether or not you can actually redeem it is another question. We're not going to suggest anything like changing your IP to make it look like you're in the U.S.
Yes.
But
I've heard that can be done, and it is highly not recommended.
Don't do that.
Yes.
All right. This is the last question. This will go to Joseph. This is from Walter Lau. Will you release a Z390 Classified K?
When you said Walter, I was expecting Walter White for some reason. I don't know why.
You can read it just as easily as I can.
I wasn't looking at it.
Okay.
I tend to look at them when you're reading.
Okay.
I go back and forth, actually. Will we release a Z390 Classified K? doesn't look like it.
Yeah,
No. We're going to be releasing the dark.
Dark, exactly.
The dark is a much better motherboard than the Classified K in many, many ways.
Right.
Although a Classified K will tend to have, say, a lot more DIMM slots, for instance.
Sure.
The dark's only going to have 2 DIMM slots. It is a overclocking, record-breaking board, and that's what it's designed to do. If any of you do extreme overclocking, you know that lower count on DIMM slots makes it much better for overclocking. Memory does play a large factor when you're doing extreme overclocking. So there's little things like that. Maybe the audio card or things like that sometimes are really nice on the classifieds.
Right.
I don't know what the one is on the dark. I'd have to look that up.
But I think it's a higher end one. I think
everything on there is a higher end component. It's just sometimes we'll focus some resources a little bit more into a Classified K to make that a more desirable option for someone who's going for high end. But the dark is like extreme high end, and so some things are sacrificed to give you better components as far as like VRMs and overclocking capabilities.
Sure.
So
yeah, we don't know 100% if there will be or not be a Classified K, but we don't believe so. We replaced the Z370 FTW with the Z390 FTW, and the two have very similar feature set, obviously the newer chipset on the newer board. As far as the Z370 Classified K, board that I personally use, the more so successor that, as Joseph has said, is the Z390 Dark. And unless you absolutely need the additional RAM slots on there, there's a lot of just better features with the Dark that will make it just the high-end board from EVGA for the Z platform.
A lot of excitement for the Dark. I'm really excited to see it. We're gonna probably have it at CES or something for people to take a look, but we've also showed it pictures of it online and stuff. So,
stay tuned for that one.
It's gonna be super cool.
All right.
Okay, that's it.
So thank you guys for another round of great questions. As ever, leave your questions in the comment section below, and we will make sure to get that in a future episode of Ask EVGA. You have a good one.